ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणे। Hare Krishna. So today's verse now 15:15. It's a very famous verse. And Krishna, while he's explaining how he is maintaining everything, like planets also, and then ourselves also. Now he explains how spiritually he helps us. Okay, so let us see. Sarvasya chaham udisannivishto.
सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो
Mattasmritirjnanam apohanam cha.
मत्तस्मृतिर्ज्ञानमपोहनं च
Vedescha sarvairaham eva vedyo.
वेदैश्च सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो
Vedanta kritveda vida eva chaham.
वेदान्तकृद्वेदविदेव चाहम्
Okay, please chant.
सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो मतः स्मृतिर्ज्ञानमपोहनं च वेदैश्च सर्वे अहम् एव वेद्यो वेदान्तकृतेदविदेव चाहम्
सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो मत्तः स्मृतिर्ज्ञानम् अपोहनं च वेदैश्च सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो वेदान्तकृद्वेदविदेव चाहम्
सर्वस्याहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो मता स्मृतिर्ज्ञानम् अपोहनं च वेदस्य सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो वेदान्तकृद्वेदविद् एव चाहम्.
Okay. Translation and purport. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. Purport. The Supreme Lord is situated as Paramatma in everyone's heart, and it is from him that all activities are initiated. The living entity forgets everything of his past life, but he has to act according to the direction of Supreme Lord, who is witness of all his work. Therefore, he begins his work according to his past deeds. Required knowledge is supplied to him, and remembrance is given to him, and he forgets also about his past life. Thus, the Lord is not only all-pervading; he is also localized in every individual heart. He awards the different fruitive results. He is worshipable not only as the impersonal Brahman, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the localized Paramatma, but as form of the incarnation of Vedas as well. The Vedas give the right direction to people so that they can properly mold their lives and come back to Godhead, back to home. The Vedas offer knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and Krishna is in his incarnation as Vyasdev is the compiler of Vedanta Sutra. The commentation of Vedanta Sutra by Vyasadeva is Srimad Bhagavatam, gives the real understanding of Vedanta Sutra. The Supreme Lord is so full that for the deliverance of the conditioned soul, he is the supplier and digester of foodstuff, the witness of his activities, and the giver of knowledge in the form of Vedas. And as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, the teacher of Bhagavad Gita, is worshipable by conditioned soul. Thus, God is all good and God is all merciful. Anta pravishta shashta Janana. The living entity forgets as soon as he quits his present body, but he begins his work again initiated by the Supreme Lord. Although he forgets, the Lord gives him the intelligence to renew his work where he ended his past life. So not only does a living entity enjoy or suffer in this world according to the dictation from the Supreme Lord, situated locally in the heart, but he receives the opportunity to understand Vedas from him. If one is serious about understanding the Vedic knowledge, then Krishna gives required intelligence. Why does he present the Vedic knowledge for understanding? Because a living entity individually needs to understand Krishna. Vedic literature confirms this. Vyasav Sarvar Veder Giyate. In all Vedic literature, beginning from four Vedas, Vedanta Sutra, and the Upanishad and Puranas, the glories of the Supreme Lord are celebrated by performance of Vedic rituals, discussion of the Vedic philosophy, and worship of the Lord in devotional services attend. Therefore, the purpose of Vedas is to understand Krishna. The Vedas give us direction by which to understand Krishna in the process of realizing Him. The ultimate goal is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vedanta Sutra 1.1.4 confirms this in the following words. Tattu saman vayat. One can attain perfection in three stages. By understanding Vedic literature, one can understand his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By performing different processes, one can approach Him. And at the end, one can attain the Supreme Goal, who is no other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this verse, the purpose of Vedas, understanding the purpose, understanding the Vedas and the goal of Vedas are clearly defined. So Krishna explaining how he maintains the living entities. First he explained like how all the planets and everything he sustains them. By his energy they stay in orbit. Then he comes closer to us that how he maintains our body by digesting the food, and sun and moon by giving the vegetables, by giving the delicious vegetables, by becoming moon. And then he comes closer to our body that okay, the food is prepared, food is vegetables, everything is also he supports for that. Then when we eat those food, he also supports us for our digestion. So this becomes a whatever Krishna explained is a what we can say a physical maintenance of the body and maintenance of the planet or surroundings. But the purpose of this body is much more than just maintenance. So the main purpose of this human body at least is to understand our true position, our true identity. So how Krishna supports this, that Krishna is speaking in this verse and the about Vedas in the next three verses. So how he supports the jiva to understand the spiritual need or spiritual understanding, that also Krishna does. So in this verse he says, I am seated in everyone's heart. Sannivishto, so I am very closely situated in the jiva, and I give remembrance, intelligence, and knowledge. So there are many scientists or philosophers who try to study how we get the intelligence, how we remember the things. So like what I did last year, I remember that. So some people say that, okay, mind remembers it or it's in the brain. But from where that power of remembrance is coming, that is important. So if we remember anyway in mind or that is fine, but that knowledge or that consciousness of to remember the thing that comes from Krishna. So the Krishna is giving that. So in this verse he tells how I am helping every living entity. So not only in this life, but he gives the indication from the last life. So whatever, so that's why in Krishna said like, even if you do bhakti in this life, the next life you will continue from where you left. So why? Because Krishna will give the remembrance that okay, you have done these activities. That is why we see some people get attracted to the spiritual thing. Some people never get attracted because they have those types of desire from previous life. And then Krishna gives the understanding. How he gives? By giving the intelligence. So once, like if somebody has a spiritual inclination, then Krishna gives the intelligence how he can develop that spiritual qualities and spiritual understanding. So by these methods, Krishna is sitting in our heart and he is helping us. So sometimes, like there is a Srila Prabhupada always don't he never liked two words. One is by chance and one is instinct. Some people say that he's doing this activity by his instinct and he became so famous. But Srila Prabhupada used to say, no, why? What is instinct? From where that instinct is coming? That is coming from the super soul. Okay, so if you are a singer in the this life, the next life you will have maybe good voice and everything, but somebody has to remember that you are a good singer. Then you start. Right? So somebody gives that instinct that okay, I want to sing, and you do some activities that indicate that you want to be a singer. So that instinct is actually coming from the super soul. That okay, you are good in this, you do this, or you do something that indicates that you are interested. So these all situations, these all things that we do and we see, we have to think from where this has come. We just in the outer we see the gross things, but we don't try to find out the subtler things, how this is working. But Krishna is telling that I am in the heart and I'm giving that remembrance, and I'm also giving the forgetfulness of what last life. I don't remember what I have done in the last life, but I have to do from my instinct, what we say, or but the guidance of the super soul, how to proceed from here. So Krishna gives forgetfulness. How it helps us? We can forget the things that are actually problematic to our spiritual life. So if we ask Krishna, he will help us to forget those incidents, those situations, those past memories, and then we can remember and Krishna will give the intelligence to do more spiritual things. So in this way, Krishna helps us to use this body in his service and get liberated from this material world. And another help that Krishna gives is the next two lines, Vedescha Sarvaraham Vedyo. So he says like, what is the purpose of Vedas? So all Vedas written by Krishna only. So when we say Krishna has written, so Krishna's energies. So Krishna's energies are doing. So Vyasdev is writing. And all the purpose of the Vedas is to understand him. And he is the knower of the Vedas. So these are the purpose of Vedas. So Krishna also gives these Vedas so that the living entity will use his body to do some spiritual activities, to understand his real self, to understand his relationship with the God. So if we see last 3-4 verses, Krishna is explaining how we are always dependent on Supreme Lord for our granted things like eating, breathing, seeing. All these things are we take it for granted that this I am a human being, so these are my rights. It should happen, but it's not like that. It's Krishna is supporting all these activities so that we can utilize the life in spiritual progress. Those people who don't want to do the spiritual progress, their desire is to enjoy. So Krishna helps them also because he's saying Sarvasya Chaham. So he's saying in all living entities I am there and I am giving everyone intelligence and forgetfulness and remembrance. So everyone he is giving that help. It's not that he is saying devotees only. Bhaktas chaham. No, he's not saying that. He's saying sarvasya. So all living entities he is doing this. But to the devotees he is more favorable because they are inclined to serve him. They are inclined to do bhakti. So in this way, Krishna is helping us from within and from without. And we have to, we need a little higher consciousness to um, listen to the voice of the super soul. And that we generally call as instinct or sixth sense, sometimes we call. But that is given by Krishna, because Krishna clearly telling here what he gives. Sometimes we notice that when we are in some conversation or we are doing some process, something, we suddenly remember something, but in the heat of the moment, we don't do that. And afterwards, we recall, oh, I should have done that. That thought came to my mind also, but I don't know why I didn't do it. So that at that point, that thought coming into our mind is intelligence. That is Krishna is giving indication. So if we listen to that sound, our problems will be solved. But if we don't listen, we will have some challenges. So we have to at a better consciousness and try to see how the inner voice or instinct are coming, and that will help us in our life. So Krishna in the next few verses, he tells about the Vedas, because he started the topic of Veda here. So he will talk more about the Vedas in the next 3 verses, I think. So we'll continue that tomorrow. Hare Krishna. So any comments, any realizations, questions? Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for joining, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much.
Thank you.